let's go on to our main topic, 3D, right? So I'm going to show you the basics of making something that's 2D like a card and making it and putting it into a 3D space, right? So doing something like this. If you haven't done anything with 3D inside of Webflow, uh, this is it. So here we go. I'm going to create another page. And here we go. So I'm going to set the stage. I want to put a card in the very middle of the screen. So to do that, I'm going to my Add Elements panel, dragging in a section, and giving this section a height of 100 VH. VH meaning port height, right? And let's give this section a background. So I'm going to use background image that I've already uploaded. Cover, set to cover, and there we go. So cover means it takes up the whole space, right? And now let's add an overlay on top of it, a dark overlay, because we want to put more focus on the card rather than this background image. So I'm going to press plus again on the backgrounds, and I'm going to choose color overlay, which is right here. And that's it. I can play around with the colors if I want. I can play around with the opacity. It's up to you. But I'm going to do something like that. Okay, we're good. Last thing I want to do is make sure that whatever I put inside of this section, it'll be in the center vertically and horizontally. So I'm going to set this to flex. Then anything inside of it will be vertically center and horizontally center. That's it. Now, let's go ahead and bring our card in. So I'm going to go to my assets panel, drag in Pikachu. Did I do it right? And oh, look at that. Cool. Lazy load is right here when I drag in the image. Sweet. So it's already lazy loading. Nice. And let's go ahead and close these mini settings. And let's give this a name of Pika P. Cool. Right? So our state, well, actually, I need to round out the corners because this image has these corners right here. I need to round it out. So let's go here and border radius, which is right here, and drag that slider and play around. So yeah, right about there. All right. So now it's a card. Sweet. I choose you. All right. So now that we have Pika P all set up and we have our section set up, we need to turn on 3D. All right. So here we go. Turn on 3D. Take the parent element. So this is the child of section 7. Section 7 is the parent of Pika P. All right. So I'm going to select the parent and then scroll all the way down to the bottom right, and you have 2D and 3D transform. I'm going to click the kebab menu, and I'm going to set the children perspective to 2000. That's it. 3D is enabled. No, we're not done. If you're thinking, no, not done. We've just enabled 3D, so now we got to tell the Webflow interactions to spin this card around in a 3D space. Right? So this is when we start to talk about X, Y, and Z. Okay? So let's add an interaction to this. We're going to go to our interactions panel right here, the lightning bolt. Press plus, and now we got a bunch of element triggers. The one we're going to focus on right now is mouse move over element. This tracks the position of the mouse. Tracks where the mouse is in the X axis and on the Y axis. Did a thing. All right. Anyways, action. I've clicked. I think I went too fast. Press plus, mouse move over element, select an action, and we're going to play mouse animation. Huh. Pikachu is a mouse. And so I'm going to press plus, and now we have these timelines. I'm going to name this the P, You name it whatever you want. But here we go. Now, if you see, we have two types of actions. We have mouse X and mouse Y. So with mouse X, Webflow is asking what happens when the mouse is all the way to the left versus all the way to the right. So X starts on the very left, 0%, goes to the very right, 100%. Right? So I'm going to target Pika P. So I'm going to click on Pika P, and now I'm going to press plus sign, and I'm going to rotate it. Go. So Webflow gives us already the 0% and 100%. And Webflow is asking, all right, what do you want it to do? How do you want to rotate it? And this is when you get all the way down to the bottom right, and you get these options, X, Y, and Z. Okay? So, kind of weird because you're saying what does the mouse, when the mouse is on the x-axis, moving on the x-axis, you want to rotate it. We need to rotate it on the y. So let me explain. Okay, so this is, okay, piece of paper. Here we go. So when you're rotating things in 3D space, if you notice this icon right here says X. So X is, I should marker. Hold on, I'm doing it. Mm, mm. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So if you see here, X is horizontal, Y is vertical. Okay. So if I'm moving something on the X axis, it's gonna imagine two sets of fingers holding a paper, and when you're rotating on the X, you're rotating it on the X. If you hold the paper at the edges of the Y and you rotate it, you're rotating it on the Y, like that. So, you Mr. Paper, we're going to rotate on the Y because when our mouse is moving left and right, we want to rotate it left and right. Okay? So, when the mouse is all the way to the left, let's move it negative 50 degrees on the y-axis. And on 100%, we do the opposite. We do positive 50 degrees on the y. And now we do the same thing when the mouse is moving up and down. Rotate, and this time on the x-axis. When we want it to look up, we'll just use simple numbers, 50, and looking down, negative 50. And congratulations, you've created something that's 3D. That makes sense? Any questions with this? So all we're doing is just flipping a paper. That's it. And you can take these same basics for things like as you're scrolling down or scrolling into view, mouse hover, mouse click, any type of interaction, you know? So let's do one more trigger. Let's do one more example of a mouse click, okay? So I'm going to select Pika P. Going to use mouse click as my element trigger. Start animation. I'm going to call it Pika click. Set an action to rotate. And we'll just rotate this like that. Okay? And we can also play around with the Z. The Z is just like spinning it. Okay? And then done. Actually, let's add an ease. Then we can do a second click as a toggle to reset it. So I'm going to press plus, reset, and just set all the rotations back to 0. 0, 0, 0, and done. Click, click. There you go. 3D. Makes sense? Yeah. So fast, simple tutorial on making things 3D. Up to you all if you want to see me make a cube in 3D. Cubes are 3D. If you want to see me make a 3D cube inside of Webflow. I'm waiting for that answer. Question. Okay. Let's see. AKS is asking, how can I export the Webflow code to next.js or next.js? Can I use Webflow code to take it to my yeah, thank you, Pablo, for answering AKS's question. But yeah, you export Webflow code. It's just basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And you can put that into your own environment. You can edit the code. You can do whatever you want. The code is yours. You earned it. You made it. That's all yours. And you can mess around, add anything you want to it. But you can't re-import that back into Webflow. Okay, yeah, 3D cube. That's redundant. It's like saying ATM machine. Question for the nav challenge. I was not able to figure out why the nav is not scrolling in mobile. Okay, we'll look into that later, Eli. Ripple effect. How do you activate 3D child elements? It as a yeah, I'll get back into that. Let's ripple effect. What I did to activate 3D mode. So you would go to the parent element, which I called it. I let Webflow name it section 7. Go down to the effects, click on the kebab, and set children perspective to 2000. Right. Okay. Making a cube. Do it. I'm going to click on my body element. Command E brings up the quick finder tool. Pretty cool. I'm going to type in SEC, which gives us section, press return, and now we have a new section down below. Easier than clicking on add element panel and then dragging it in. So it's just a faster way. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the same thing. We want to make sure that this has a 100 VH height, also has a background on an overlay. We can set that up manually and do all that steps that I've done, or just copy over the same styles as this one. So what we can do is click in here in the selector and type in section 7, press return, and now there we go. I have the same exact styles for both sections because they're using the same class name. So little pro tips, little quick tips to help you out when you're building your sites. So let's go. Let's make a cube. This one is going to take a little bit longer and I may mess up, but that's how we do things here. Okay, so in here, let's go ahead and Command E, type in div. We have a div block, and I'm gonna call this 3D cube. 3D cube wrapper. Okay, so this is gonna hold all the sides of our 3D cube. Okay, this is the actual box that holds the box. And let's give this a width of 350, 350. So width and height, both 350, because you need sides. Done. And let's give it a position of relative. So position relative. I am telling this box that, hey, you're going to have some child elements that are looking for you. So you're going to be the relative of all of these child divs. And all of these child divs are going to have a position of absolute. What happens, these children who are set to position absolute are looking for its relative. So this box is going to be its relative. That's probably not the exact definition of relative, but that's the way I like to think about it. All right. Now that we've set that up, let's go ahead and Command E, div, and let's go ahead and call this the 3D cube side. Okay, so 3D cube side is position absolute, and it's full, and that's it. Okay, so this is the first side. This is the front side. And because this is the front side, I'm going to give it a combo class of front. Go. And let's give this a background color. Blue. Sweet. So this is the front side. All right. So now I'm going to click on my front side. Command C, Command V. And now we have another front side. But I'm going to delete front side. Actually, no, I'm going to duplicate the front side. Call it the left side. Okay. Now, I'm going to change the color of this, something a little bit darker. And then I'm going to rotate this. And so here's the trick. Oh, okay. Cool. So if you're Father's Day gift. So if you open a book, the binding on this side, right? So when I open it goes like this. It's bound to the side. Right? So that's what I want to do. I want to make a hinge or bind this side. I want to bind this side so that way when I rotate it on the y-axis, it's starting from here. So how to do that is to go down here to the 2D, 3D transforms, open up that kebab menu, and this origin right here. Oh, sorry, no. This origin right here. We're going to bind it on that side, or we add the hinge to that side, and then we press plus again and rotate. So when we rotate on the Y, look. Take a look in a book. Reading rainbow. All right, cool. So I'm going to set this to 90, and there we go. Let's do the same thing. Copy and paste, go a little bit faster, duplicate, call it right side, and all we have to do is click on this kebab and put the hinge or the binding on the other side. And we need to flip this to -90. Make sound effects when you're developing. Always fun. And let's keep going. Copy, paste, call it the top side. And we'll change the binding to be at the top. And we're not going to rotate it on the 90, on the y-axis. We're going to rotate it on the x. And so, ooh, it's a garage door. I'm going to go -90. -90. Boom, right there. Let's get the bottom side. Copy, paste, duplicate, bottom side. Hinge it to the bottom. There we go. And change this to +90. So, I know I can just type in the number, but making sound effects is much more fun. All right, so copy, paste, last side, duplicate class, back side. And so this one, we're putting transform origin in the center, and we're not rotating on the X, but we're rotating on the Z. So this one, oh, wait, we're not rotating at all. Sorry. We are actually moving it on the Z. So we're pushing it back. And I can't see it. Yeah, I did something wrong. Probably. I don't know. It is 350. That. I think I did it. Let's change the color of that. Just make it. Okay, cool. Usually let's a little bit brighter. All right, cool. If I did it right and I start rotating the 3D cube wrapper, then cool, we have all learned. If I did it wrong, which I suspect I did something wrong, then we'll all learn together on how to fix it. All right, here we go. Oh, and I didn't explain Z. So Z is just near and far. That's all what Z is. So that's what makes things 3D. So 2D is like taking a piece of paper and putting it on flat on a table, and you can only move it up, down, left, right. That's X and Y. That's the 2D space. Like a video game 2D side scroller, it only goes up, down, left, right, like Super Mario. But Super Mario 3D is where you can go up, down, left, right, and near, far. Right? So that's what the Z was all about. All right, let's rotate this. Okay, rotate. Do it. Yeah. Cool. And let's take these same things. Let's take this same thought as we did with the Pikachu and just move this with the mouse. So I'm going to go to section 7, click on element trigger, mouse move over element, and 3D cube. Right, and I'm going to affect the 3D cube wrapper. Nope, not move. Rotate, and we're gonna rotate it. So no, not 90. So if -50, cool. We'll go -50. This one will be +50, and this one will rotate -50, +50. This one will be -50, and we're done. There it is. There it is. Cool.